Today we battle against one of the best competitive Pokemon players of all time. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel for week 5 of the Wolfe Draft League. This week we face off against James Baek, who is not only a multi-regional and international champion, but he is also a semi-finalist at Worlds from 2019 and 2022, which just solidifies that he is one of the best Pokemon players in the entire world. And today we play against him in a Draft League rematch. James and I played each other in the Shuckle Premier League, where James got the win. So today is my chance to even the score. We are also both using pretty different rosters to what we had in the SPL, so today should be a fun match with a whole new set of challenges, and I'm really looking forward to it. The Jubilife Piplups for this season consist of Annihilape, Alolan Ninetales, Kilowattrel, Crocodile, Cinderace, Blastoise, Hydrapple, Furret, Duosion, and Revavroom. This team is so scary because his two most powerful Pokemon are the Annihilape and the Alolan Ninetales, both of which have seen so much success in competitive Pokemon featuring the same rule set that we're using in this draft league. They're two of the best Pokemon in the game right now. What makes them both super scary is they have several distinct ways that they can be run, which makes it very difficult to prep for in a closed team sheet format. You never know if the Alolan Ninetales is going to have Aurora Veil, Blizzard, Icy Wind, Encore Disable, Terra Blast of some random Terra type. This Pokemon has so many good moves. Similarly, Annihilape could do Bulk Up setup, beat up Rage Fist setup, or it could just be a fast Choice Scarf Final Gambit to nuke something. These two Pokemon are by far the scariest on the team, but the rest of James's roster is equally just as flexible. So let's take a look at the individual options for the rest of the Pokemon that James has on the Jubilife Piplups. Annihilape is a star Regulation H thanks to its physical capabilities and signature move Rage Fist, which gets a 50 base power increase every time that Annihilape is hit with an attack. Each multi-strike move, such as Beat Up, counts each individual hit for a power increase, so after 4 Beat Up hits, Annihilape is dishing out Rage Fist at 250 base power. That is as strong as Explosion, except you are targeting a single Pokemon and you don't have the drawback of KOing yourself. Annihilape is also pretty bulky, meaning you're almost always giving over a boost to Rage Fist before knocking it out. Since it can have Drain Punch or Citrus Berry, there are ways this Pokemon can recover its HP to make it even harder to knock out. The Ape also gets close combat, along with all of the elemental punching moves, so it has access to several coverage options. And to make matters worse, there are very few ways to lower its attack. With its Defiant ability, whenever Annihilape has its stats dropped, it gets a +2 attack boost. You can only rely on burning it to cut its physical damage, but that's also why a lot of Annihilape run Terra Fire so they can be immune to burn. While Annihilape is on the slower side of this matchup, there are ways that James can combat this, either with an Icy Wind from Alolan Ninetales or a Tailwind from Kilowattrel. Kilowattrel is the fastest Pokemon amongst the 20 that James and I have on our rosters, so it's very difficult for me to deny a Tailwind setup. And the Alolan Ninetales is faster than my entire team, so same thing applies to Ninetales getting an Icy Wind speed drop to support this Annihilape. Ninetales this week will almost certainly have Snow Warning. Since we have Tyranitar, being able to come in and immediately change the weather is a huge benefit. With Snow active, Alolan Ninetales can set up Aurora Veil, which gives you a Light Screen and Reflect all in one. Snow also allows Blizzard to bypass the accuracy check, so it will always hit. We do love a strong, independent woman. Ninetales is pretty self-sufficient, but can also play a huge role in general disruption. It gets access to Disable and Encore, Fake Tears, Howl, and Hypnosis. Otherwise, it will do a surprising amount of damage with Moonblast too. Something else to keep in mind with Ninetales and Annihilape is that Ninetales could use Icicle Spear to boost up the power of Annihilape's Rage Fist. You could also technically use Triple Axle, but if you do all 3 hits, you are dealing a ton of damage to yourself. But it would look stylish. Next up, we have Kilowattrel, a Pokemon that has started to pick up with some popularity, but still has taken a backseat to other fast Tailwind users. Kilowattrel provides something unique though, in that it has the ability Competitive, which works like Defiant, but for special attack. When a Pokemon with this ability has one of its stats dropped, its special attack is raised by 2 stages. Sometimes Defiant doesn't get the full utility because you're often activating it with Intimidate, which initially drops your attack stat by 1 stage, but then Defiant increases your attack stat by 2 stages, overall just giving you a +1 attack boost. Competitive doesn't have that drawback because as a special attacker, you really don't care about that Intimidate drop. Milotic, Gothitelle, and Empoleon are all other Pokemon that get this ability. And for Kilowattrel, its special attack stat is pretty high, so it's really getting good value out of those competitive special attack boosts. Combined with its speed like we talked about earlier, Kilowattrel is usually moving before you can stop it. Kilowattrel also learns a lot of moves that benefit from the same type attack bonus, such as Hurricane, Thunder, Air Slash, Discharge, and Volt Switch. It could also do fast disruption things like Eerie Impulse and Thunder Wave. Kilowattrel has 2 other abilities that could feasibly see play. The first is Wind Power, so when a Pokemon is hit by a wind move or Tailwind takes effect, Kilowattrel gets a boost to the power of its next electric type attack. But funny enough, even though Sandstorm is actually classified as a wind move, it's the only one that wouldn't activate the Wind Power ability, so I think it's the least likely of the 3 abilities. Then we have Volt Absorb. Volt Absorb just heals Kilowattrel when hit by an electric attack instead of damaging it. James doesn't have an amazing way to activate that himself, but we could accidentally activate it for him since we've shown off Rotom Mo's Thunderbolt and Volt Switch in previous weeks. But we also have other ways that we can KO the Kilowattrel, like Rock Slide, so I think it's still likely that James will lean on competitive since our roster includes double Intimidate. Krookodile is next. Krookodile is honestly one of my favorite Pokemon because the design is just so darn cool. I love lizards, and there is just something that is like cool factor about this Pokemon. Krookodile could either be Intimidate, which would make a lot of sense since my team is mostly physical attackers, or I could see it being Moxie. Moxie gives a +1 attack whenever Krookodile secures a KO. Krookodile could also be Anger Point, and honestly, this is just funny to look at because if Krookodile gets hit with a critical hit, it immediately gets a +6 to its attack stat. This is harder to guarantee, but there are moves that do exist that always result in critical hits, like Flower Trick on Meowscarada, so it's not impossible. I'm just really lucky that Ninetales doesn't get Frost Breath. This Pokemon is mostly a physical attacker and it gets a lot of coverage options. I think it'll most likely run a combination of Stomping Tantrum, Knockoff, maybe even Earthquake, and then any coverage options that James thinks will be best into my team. Next up is Cinderace, one of the starter Pokemon from Pokemon Sword and Shield. Cinderace is a fast physical attacker that has a lot of type coverage in its move pool, which is made even better by Cinderace having the Libero ability. Like Protean, Cinderace uses Libero to change its typing to match that of the first move selected in battle. It can give James a lot of defensive or offensive options without having to invest terrestrialization. Cinderace also gets some cute support moves like Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, Sunny Day, and Coaching that could make it an annoying fast support option as well. James has another first partner Pokemon on his roster in the Blastoise. Blastoise has a couple of different ways it can be run. Usually it's either going to be an offensive threat with Shell Smash, Terra Water, Water Spout stuff, or it could be a little bit more bulky as a supportive option, going for things like Fake Out and Yawn to slow the game down. If Blastoise is used more offensively, it actually has the flexibility to either run physical or special attacking options since it has relatively even stats across the board. While Terra Water Water Spout with Mystic Water is insane because Water Spout is one of the strongest water type moves Blastoise learns, Blastoise also learns some great physical coverage attacks such as Earthquake, Rock Slide, and Body Press. And while not going to receive the same type attack bonus, you have Terra to fix that. If Blastoise is used more defensively, you have the option to use Fake Out and Yawn, but you could also use Haze to remove stat changes or even Life Dew to help keep your ally alive. Something James can do with both Blastoise and Cinderace is use Water and Fire type Pledge respectively and set up the Rainbow Field Effect status. While Water and Fire Pledge are not super strong on their own, if used together on the same turn, the ally moving second will use Water Pledge at a base power of 150, while also casting a Rainbow over that side of the field. Rainbow doubles the chance of a secondary effect of a move activating, such as Rock Slide flinching a Pokemon, or Blizzard freezing a Pokemon. I'm looking at you, Ninetales. Moving right along, James also has Hydrapple. And now look, I don't really know if Applin needed another evolutionary line, but it's kind of awesome that Hydrapple gets a chance to join this roster of just absolutely dripped out Pokemon designs on James's team. I don't think Hydrapple is super likely to come, but if it does, Assault Vest on Hydrapple looks promising with Pollen Puff, maybe Earth Power, and then its 2 signature attacks, Syrup Bomb and Fickle Beam. Syrup Bomb is a grass-type damaging attack that also lowers the target's speed stat by 1 stage each turn for 3 consecutive turns. And then Fickle Beam is a dragon-type damaging attack that has a 30% chance to double its power and become 160 base power. Furra and Duosion are also relatively unlikely. James's team is fast enough that I don't think he needs to consider Duosion as a Trick Room setter, and then for Furra, it's pretty unlikely that it gets a chance to go for Follow Me and an Endeavor after it hangs on with its Focus Sash. What I think is likely though is James's final Pokemon on his roster, the Revavroom. Revavroom is a physical attacker that is relatively slow, but it offers 2 very valuable types of offensive damage since it's a dual steel and poison type, and it can make up for its own lack of speed by using the status move Shift Gear, which raises Revavroom's speed by 2 stages and attack by 1 stage upon use. Although, that also could just help offset the drawback of Spin Out, Revavroom's signature move that is a 100 base power steel type attack that lowers Revavroom's speed by 2 stages after use. Revavroom has a great type matchup into a lot of the Pokemon on my team, and it could be difficult to remove with its ability filter, which reduces the damage that Revavroom takes by 25% from super effective attacks. Might not help out a whole lot against a 4-time super effective ground type attack, but could be very valuable overall in the longevity Revavroom has on the field. And you can't deny the damage output that this Pokemon could do. James has a lot of different options that he can depend upon from his well-built roster, but I think the most likely for this week will be the Annihilape, Alolan Ninetales, Kilowattrel, and the Krookodile for Intimidate, and then some combination of Blastoise, Cinderace, Hydrapple, and Revavroom. So with that in mind, let's talk about what we are going to be doing this week. I'm not going to lie, while considering what James is going to bring into us is a small part of our strategy, the real game plan is just going to be doing something wacky and hoping that it can catch James by surprise. The last time we played each other, James got me good, and he has so much Draft League and competitive Pokemon experience that I want to just try running a funny strategy and see if we can get him with it. So for this week, we are going to be benching the Tyranitar and Garchomp to give them some well-earned rest, and we're putting all of our faith into Clefable with a Cosmic Power and Stored Power set. Do you remember how I said before that there are limited ways to control Annihilape's attack output since you can't intimidate it because of Defiant, and you are likely unable to burn it if it's Terrafire? Well, there is another approach that you can take, and that's boosting up your own Pokemon's defenses, and that is exactly what we're doing this week. Clefable is the main game plan. With Cosmic Power, we are going to provide our Clefable valuable defensive boosts. Cosmic Power will set us up to deal with both the physical onslaught from Cinderace, Annihilape, and Revavroom, while also giving us the special defense boosts for Ninetales and Blastoise. We also have other ways to buff up Clefable with Alcremie having Decorate and Hitmontop with Coaching. But the boosts do much more than just make sure Clefable can survive, because Stored Power is a psychic type attack that starts at 20 base power but increases by 20 base power for each stat increase you have. Doesn't matter if it's a defensive or an offensive boost, they all count towards the increased base power for Stored Power. Ideally, we're giving Clefable enough boosts from Cosmic Power, Decorate, and Coaching so that Clefable can launch a 360 base power Stored Power off to neutrally hit everything except for Krookodile. 2 Cosmic Powers is base 100, 2 Cosmic Powers plus Decorate is base 180 power, and with the plus 2 special attack from Decorate, it's basically base 360 power. If not a stored power, Clefable will also have Moonblast, so it has an offensive option before stored power ends up being a stronger move choice overall. Once all of those boosts have been set up by Clefable, then it's time to let Alcremie copy all of them with Psych Up, and spread damage everything with Dazzling Gleam. Aroma Veil is also there to protect my Clefable from getting taunted or encored. Hitmontop is Coaching, of course, but it is also trained to get a one-hit knockout onto Alolan Ninetales with Terra Steel Bullet Punch if it doesn't Terrastallize or have Focus Sash. Thanks to its Technician, it can also one-hit KO Kilowattrel with Triple Axle. The rest of the team is rounded out with Scyther, Houndstone, and Gyarados, which can be used pretty flexibly depending on what James ends up bringing. Scyther can set up Tailwind if the Kilowattrel is eliminated, and is also faster than Annihilape to KO it with Dual Wing Beat. Houndstone has Ally Switch in case we want to just play absurd mind games. Gyarados is there mostly as a matchup check to Cinderace and Revavroom with Intimidate and Temper Flare. We do have to be careful about bringing Gyarados if the Kilowattrel is competitive, and we expect that the Annihilape is going to be Defiant. And a weird interaction we need to keep in mind with Houndstone with the Fluffy ability is that Houndstone will be taking double damage from those Fire-type attacks. Most of the supporting cast can actually take a hit or two before getting knocked out, and they're all also trained to survive an Icicle Spear boosted Rage Fist, as long as it isn't 5 hits. So game 1, all in on Clefable. We can lead Clefable next to Hitmontop, get those boosts going, and then have Alcremie in the back alongside whatever we think is going to be the best fit against what James actually ends up bringing to the week. And then game number 2, we can either revisit that game plan, or we can think about switching things up, either with Houndstone at the front for yawn pressure, or even bring in Gyarados if James ends up benching the anti-intimidate Pokemon. So yeah, that's the game plan. Let's get into the match. So James has the Ninetales and Annihilape as I expected. The Kilowattrel also very, very good in this team composition. But to round it out, he does have the Blastoise, Revavroom, and Crocodile. I'm actually really excited to not see the Cinderace here because it is one of James's faster Pokemon. So really, I'm only trying to contend with the Kilowattrel, the Annihilape, and the Ninetales, which are all going to be pretty significantly faster than the rest of my team. The rest of what I need to look at here is Crocodile, of course, can have Intimidate. The Blastoise, it could be more of a supportive set, but it also could be running that Terra Water with the Water Spout. And there's not really a whole lot on my team that I think can feasibly resist that. Blastoise is pretty slow, but if it's holding a Choice Scarf, then it's going to be doing a lot of damage while also outspeeding my team. The Revavroom is interesting. It's going to be sitting at a more middling speed tier for this and certainly puts on a lot of pressure onto my Clefable. But for now, I really do want to just go with the same game plan. I think just being able to have the Clefable, try to set it up as good as possible. So Clefable, Hitmontop is going to be super nice if I can get a KO somewhere. And then the Alcremie for Decorate. And then from there, I kind of don't hate just going for Houndstone and then having the last respects. It's going to be a little bit awkward with the Revavroom, but I'm hoping that Temper Flare isn't necessary, and then we can kind of look at how else we can really deal with this Revavroom. But these terrestrializations are going to be really important. We do have the Ninetales, which is going to be ground, so it could be Terra Ground, Terra Blast. But the Annihilape is also Terra Fairy, so it is going to have a really nice resist to some of this stuff. Unfortunately, James isn't going to get the Intimidate drop, so he doesn't get that Defiant boost. Bad news for us is we don't actually get to confirm that it's going to be Defiant. But I think here, knowing that the Ninetales isn't going to be Terra Ground, it's not Terra Ghost, so I can go for just Cosmic Power as well as the Fake Out into the Ninetales. That way we can't actually set something up. So I still really like this play. The Annihilape can do some funny things, but it'd be a little interesting if we actually saw the Annihilape go for the... Oh yeah, see? Terra Ground. We still get to Fake It Out, unless it's Covert Cloak. If it is Covert Cloak, then we don't get the Fake Out, and that would be just a little annoying. But for now, we are going to get the Fake Out, and it does flinch the Ninetales as the Annihilape goes for Gunk Shot, and it misses my Clefable! Perfect. That's really perfect. Now we get to use the Cosmic Power, and James doesn't have Terrestrialization anymore. He invested it over to the Ninetales, and I think even if we do use Gunk Shot, we're in a pretty good spot. We're in a pretty good spot. Our Clefable is also Terra Steel, so even if we do actually go for Terrestrialization here, yeah, I kind of think it makes the most sense. But I could just go for a Protect and even just like a Coaching onto the Clefable. So we'll just go for Coaching, which will also give us a nice boost, but Ninetales goes for Blizzard. We should be able to survive this. Yeah. We even take the Drain Punch. I love when our training comes in clutch. So, Clefable's pretty nice and boosted now. Hitmontop cannot take another attack here. And of course, Drain Punch is not great, but I think even just going for stored power. How many boosts do we have? That's a base 100 power move. But I almost... Am I getting too greedy if I go for another Cosmic Power here? I think we'll just try to get some damage. Drain Punch is going to do pretty minimal amounts of damage. It's nice to know that the Annihilape is actually not going to have some type of choice item. It's not Scarf. Probably shouldn't be Final Gambit, since it did have the Gunk Shot. And we take such little damage from this Blizzard. As long as we don't get frozen, I think we're in pretty good shape. Uses Gunk Shot again, but since we're Terra Steel, that's kind of nice. Oh, that did, like, no damage. Okay. Well, that Annihilape is really bulky. Unfortunately, I did give over a Rage Fist boost, so that's not amazing. But I can still just go for the Alcremie here. I'm gonna probably just Protect again. See if I can actually get a Decorate. Yeah. I'm just gonna do that. I don't even probably need to even... I probably didn't even need to protect the Clefable, actually. I probably could have just gone for a Moonblast into the Ninetales, try to get rid of one threat. But we'll just keep it safe here. We still get Leftovers Recovery whenever we do actually protect the Clefable. Ninetales is just content on going for Blizzard here. James, this is another Gunk Shot. That's insane. I'm getting so bailed out right now. That's not even funny. No, I feel so bad for him. Okay, time to go. We're gonna just hit the stored power again. We can kind of leave the Ninetales alone. I'm also just gonna like Psych Up here, try to copy the boost so that the Alcremie can stick around. I don't really have a good way to be able to recover the HP that my Alcremie has already lost, so I feel like I am playing with a little bit of borrowed time. But if I can do some major damage with something like the Dazzling Gleam that my Alcremie has, it's going to be great spread damage, and that's something that I think I could capitalize with. Of course, there's still a chance that any of my Pokemon could get frozen, like the Alcremie, but no, Clefable, Clefable, please, 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 please. Please. Okay, shouldn't be frozen. We do get a little bit of HP recovery back, but Drain Punch is going to do just a little bit more. But I still think at this point, with additional boosts here, Annihilape goes down with one hit, for sure. Poor Alcremie. It is probably going to stay frozen for the rest of this game. Bye-bye. All right, Annihilape is down. 2 more Pokemon to go before we knock out this Ninetales. And the snow is gone, so we successfully stalled out the Blizzard. It's very possible now for Blizzard to miss. Alcremie does have to unfreeze itself. I think I'm just gonna hit that Kilowattrel also. My Houndstone has a Focus Sash, so... No, it doesn't. It has Agua Berry. I should just do damage here. James is actually going to retreat the Ninetales. Makes sense if you want to be able to set up for a Blizzard spam later. We will lose one of our boosts to our Clefable, but with the Thunderbolt, I mean, we do some nice damage here, but Poor Alcremie. It's gonna be stuck. I was really hoping that we would break through with the Dazzling Gleam just because it would have been really nice for us to be able to get the KO onto the Kilowattrel, but it really is just going for damage here. So that's another good piece of information. Kilowattrel has Thunderbolt. Crocodile is the 4th Pokemon in this game. Annihilape has Gunk Shot as well as Drain Punch. I have to imagine that it also has Rage Fist. We didn't see it Protect though. And then Blastoise and Reverbroom didn't come to this game. I'm gonna Protect so I can get some recovery back. Really hope that I can actually do a little bit of damage here. Crocodile did give us the information that it is Intimidate. Maybe we'll unfreeze. James really hates this Clefable. No, Alcremie. Honestly, I so deserve my Alcremie to be frozen like this. It's a little silly. So that James missed 2 Gunk Shots. I think this evens it out just a little bit. I think I do just get KO'd here, unfortunately. I would have liked to be able to get another boost, but I'm kind of doubtful that I'm going to be able to take 2 attacks. My defense is increased, though, by 2 stages. I don't want to give up my boost, so I think I will just go for a Moonblast into the Crocodile and then hope that I can get the Dazzling Gleam here. That really does a lot, and I'm paralyzed. So Crocodile should definitely be the next to move. Unfortunately, High Horsepower doesn't miss, so the Clefable is going to get knocked out. But I'm hoping that it did enough. It got almost the full amount of HP taken away from this Kilowattrel, except for the Focus Sash. And we now confirm that Crocodile is also Life Orb. Unfortunately, the Alcremie is still Frozen Solid, so that is going to be tough going. But our Houndstone is also a little slow. I kind of maybe wish that I had actually had the Gyarados in this final matchup, but maybe Houndstone can take this. It is fluffy, so it's going to get all of those contact moves reduced by half. I am just going to hit the Kilowattrel here and hope that yeah, I think I'm just gonna go for Last Respects into the Kilo. Or maybe it is a Last Respects into the Crocodile and then just hope that Alcremie actually wakes up. No, I think it is this. No! Another para! What is going on with the RNG in this game? So James doesn't let me get any more damage off with the Alcremie, and unfortunately, I don't think the Clefable is going to be making it through this. Houndstone does actually get the Last Respects, so it does do that final little bit of damage, but the unfortunate part here is that my Houndstone is going to be slower than both of these Pokemon. It already was without the paralysis, but now it has that extra chance where it may not be able to move. So the good news here, I cannot get frozen because I am paralyzed. The bad news is that Blizzard will continue to bypass the accuracy check, so we do take a lot of damage. We get our Agua Berry to activate, but I'm not super sure we're gonna be able to get through the Crocodile. Even with a high horsepower, at least Fluffy actually helps us get through that. But in the Last Respects, actually finishing off the Ninetales here, I wonder if we can actually make it. It's so close. I don't think Houndstone survives that last bit of HP though, so I think, unfortunately, we still lose. Unless a move misses. Like, I think there's knockoff, right? No, we were so close. All right, very close game one. The Clefable thing is very funny. There was also a lot of RNG traded. I don't think the Clefable game plan works again, or if I do use it, I expect that the Revavroom is going to come to this matchup. I wonder if there's a world where I actually just go ahead and go Scyther. That way, if Annihilape comes, I can just snipe it out. We are max speed Scyther this week. The only problem with that is that the Ninetales is still faster. And I'm not sure that Eviolite is going to save us. Scyther is Terra Ghost. So maybe if we Terrasilize, it actually does give us the chance to get the Annihilape. But if it's not the Annihilape that comes in the beginning, then I think we're still in a weird spot. But we have Tailwind. So maybe if we get Tailwind, that's something that we can actually use. And if the Scyther does get knocked out, then we also still have Clefable, and then we can maybe go Hitmontop, Gyarados. It feels a little weird to leave this at home, the Alcremie. But the fact that Alcremie got frozen, I wonder if our game plan actually does get a little bit better if we use Psych Up. I don't know. We'll see if we return to that strategy in Game 3, if we can make it to a Game 3. But for now, we do have to get through the second game. And the same thing is not going to work twice. And I do see the Crocodiles here. Terrasilize into the Ghost type is definitely super risky. But I could maybe just Terrasilize and then... Ooh. I think I will do that. I think just Tailwind and maybe just a Cosmic Power. I know that the Scyther is faster than the Crocodile, so we will be able to get the Tailwind off. My main concern is getting wrecked by the Ninetales before we can even have the chance to move. So I think the Terrasilization here is definitely a good idea. Clefable takes a lot of damage from that though. With the Tailwind, at least we do get a +1 to our defenses, but now I'm really worried with the amount of damage that we've taken that we won't be able to make it through another attack. And we have no idea what the rest of this attack set on the Crocodile is. And he does have Gunk Shot, so unfortunately, we do lose that Fable right away. He has Gunk Shot on 2 Pokemon. James was on top of it this week saying, I can't deal with the... I can't let the Clefable run away from me, so having 2 answers to it is something that certainly catches me by surprise in terms of the Crocodile, but it's not over. It's not over. We still have the dual Wing Beat, and that might be really nice for later. We just have to do something with this Scyther, and I'm like really nervous that we won't actually be able to do enough. Like dual Wing Beat probably doesn't KO, and this is super risky because I'm just gonna be attacking into something, and I have a feeling that it's gonna be the Annihilape. Yeah. I really hope that this is going to be enough damage. He's double switching. So James has the ability to bring in Intimidate after I do hopefully knock out this Annihilape, but the dual Wing Beat is very close. And I'm really glad that I ended up waterfalling that slot because that is going to be a KO onto the Annihilape. While we unfortunately lost out on the Clefable, we do trade the Clefable for the Annihilape. And the Annihilape is kind of the bigger target this week. I still have to worry a lot about the Ninetales when it comes back in, and James gets a free switch in to have the Crocodile, so there's another Intimidate drop onto the Scyther and the Gyarados. I wonder if I have enough damage to knock out this Kilowattrel before it gets a chance to actually set something up. What are its defensive stats again? Kilowattrel's super fast, but its defenses and special defenses aren't fantastic. Even though the Scyther does have a double attack drop now. My biggest concern is that I will lose my Gyarados. But I'm in Tailwind. I think I hit the Crocodile. Oh, that does so little now. Okay, Crocodile hopefully gets knocked out to the waterfall before the Kilowattrel does damage it back. Yes! Great, 2 KOs down. My Hitmontop can come in under Tailwind conditions, get the triple Axle KO into the Kilowattrel. Kilowattrel goes for the Tailwind anyway, and is it Wind Power? It's not, so I have to imagine that this is going to be a competitive Kilowattrel. Ninetales comes back in, not the most amazing, and Gyarados actually doesn't get KO'd, so I think I just have to try to take out this Ninetales. I doubt this Kilowattrel is even going to give me a chance to actually get the knockout, so I wonder if I just go for... I think I have to leverage Protect on the Gyarados. Because if the Kilowattrel actually goes for damage into my Gyarados, this buys me at least one turn. The Scyther's not going to be faster than the Ninetales, but we saw how much damage that the Blizzard did. As long as we don't get frozen, we do actually get some damage. It's going to be Moonblast though, so it does, unfortunately, KO my Scyther. And now things are starting to look a little bit dicey. We have the Hitmontop in the back, but unfortunately, we did actually just lose our Tailwind. I think with the Moonblast, I don't know if Hitmontop actually survives that, but we can get we can get a Fake Out into the Ninetales, and then maybe that actually allows us to do a little bit of damage into the Kilowattrel. Even just one Fake Out here. Yeah, and the Gyarados does get KO'd by the Thunderbolt. I'm hoping that we can use the Fake Out to, at the very least, get a Bullet Punch into the Ninetales, and the Snow stopped. What is it that I want to deal with the least here? Is it going to be the Ninetales, or is it going to be the Kilowattrel? I think it has to be the Ninetales, and obviously, like, if we don't hit the Bullet Punch, we just lose. They're both fast, but the Kilowattrel's faster. I think I have to KO the Kilowattrel, but there's a Terrassalization. It's on to the Ninetales, so actually would not be able to get the KO with the Bullet Punch now. It's so hard because I think I lose with the Thunderbolt and the Moonblast double up for sure. Oh, too bad. We also get paralyzed. Okay, GG's to James. Oh, I thought we were so close this week. But unfortunately, not enough. We're going to lose 0-2, but hey, fun games. Oh, GG's to James. Looking back at that set, game one was just hilarious. There was the immediate miss of the gunk shot to my Clefable, and then the karmic balance is equalized by my Alcremie getting frozen. And in hindsight, I could have prevented the freeze to begin with by just protecting the Alcremie, And even after it got frozen, I think there was a way that I could have made that game even closer had I switched out the Alcremie, brought in the Houndstone, and then set up for an ally switch endgame. I also started firing off the Cosmic Powers a little too early. I got a little trigger happy with that one. Didn't have quite enough boosts on the Clefable to actually make sure I was doing enough damage, but I found out after the set that the Annihilape was also Assault Vest, so that also explains why I was doing a little bit less damage than I thought I would have otherwise. But regardless, game 1 was super close, and I think that if my Alcremie unfreezes at all during that game, I think I can win, and then we extend this series to at least a game 3. Game 2, I fell into the Tailwind trap and tried to set it up for no reason again, and my Clefable got jump scared by a gunk shot from Crocodile. By the end of the game, we didn't have enough gas left in the tank to KO both the Kilowattrel and the Ninetales, especially because James preserved Terra for the endgame. But despite that bad turn 1, we still made it really close, and we almost got that win in game number 2 as well. Wow, I mean, James having gunk shot on both the Crocodile and the Annihilape, and also having Revivroom on the team, major credit to him. He really was super prepared for Clefable coming to the match just in any capacity. A modification I could have made was putting Draining Kiss on the Clefable over Moonblast. Thank you, James, for that good idea after we talked after the set. Draining Kiss would have given me a little bit more longevity, but one of the reasons why I put Moonblast on the team to begin with is just I wanted a bit higher of a base power. But given that we also had the Decorate on the team, I think with a couple of Decorate boosts, Draining Kiss is doing equal damage, and we're also getting the added benefit of getting HP recovery after we do damage to an opposing Pokemon. So that would have been one way we could have healed off some of that gunk shot damage from during the set. Overall, vibes are high though, even though we took the match loss this week. I thought the Clefable set was really fun to play around, and it's always a treat to play against James to see what he cooks up in these draft leagues. Unfortunately, our Wolfe Draft League season has not gone super well, but we still have 2 more weeks left in the regular season to see if we can get any additional match wins. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and please stay tuned to next week where we face off against Uzi. See you then!